So let's go ahead and get started today. Let's read the drill number 3, that's syllabification splicing exercise, and I've added, download and print out the student notes, very important. Divide all of the syllables in the verse using a colored pen. Be ready to provide the specific syllable rules. They're rules to syllables that support your decision for why you divided it, where you divided it. All right, so let's take a look at, so what I have here is I have the Pasuk. So this is really your copy. This is the student copy. I've got my own copy that I'm going to show you in just one second, where I've already done all the work for you just to show you how to do it correctly. And we're going to just go through that and I'll explain exactly how it all works. You would go into the Mastermind Hebrew Language Tool Vault. You would download the worksheet and print it out. And so you would actually you'd have this in front of you on your desk at home. And this is just a quick snapshot of part of the Hebrew Language Tool Vault. There's a lot in there. So basically you want to go in there and you want to scroll down to the part that says all new content posted below. And what you'll notice is I date and timestamp any new additions. So I just added this download link today, January 31st at 8:39 in the morning. The link just says download your student class notes for Genesis 15:1a syllabification splicing exercise. So pretty simple. You just click on it and there'll be another little blue link that says Dropbox. It's a Dropbox link where I store all my documents. Click on that and the thing will come right up and you just print it out for those that have printers. All right, got to jump into the actual lesson here. And I am calling this Sparky's simplified approach to syllabification, non-dagesh splitting. It can be very confusing to new Hebrew students to explain syllabification because the dagesh can really cause things to get complicated. So there's a certain type of dagesh. Dagesh is a little dot that appears in the belly of some of the letters. And for some letters, it can, in fact, double the letter. Even though you're looking at a single letter, it's really a letter superimposed over another letter. And that's really confusing because it messes with the syllables, like how things are divided up in terms of syllables. But what I discovered back a ways is that it's not helpful to confuse the new student with those types of rules, because when the day is done, whether or not you're splitting a dagesh essentially in half or not, it doesn't really affect like how you read. And so I created my own unique approach called Sparky's Simplified Approach to Syllabification that's 10 times easier, and will get you up and running in terms of your reading skills and speeds way faster than if you got bogged down into the minutia of these super complex rules that most people don't ever wrap their brain around. These rules, they're that complicated, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and just review the 5 laws or the 5 rules of the Hebrew syllable, and then we're going to take a look at the example above. Okay, so number 1, a syllable will always and only begin with one consonant. It cannot begin with a vowel. And I have an exception. There is an exception, and that's with the shurek. There are some words that begin with a shurek, because in Hebrew, many of the paskim, the verses begin with the word and so that's how many words would begin. If the vav doesn't have a shva underneath it, it would actually be a shurek in some cases. So that is an exception, and it frequently occurs as the first syllable in many words, though the pasuk we're looking at today, you'll not see that. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if that is accurate, what I've just told you. A syllable will always and only begin with a consonant. Okay, is Aleph a consonant? Yes, so this word is a 2-syllable word. It begins with a consonant. Does hadvarim, does that word begin with a consonant? The consonant is hey. The answer is yes. Got a number of hey words. Dvar, Adonai, does that begin with a consonant? Yeah, the consonant dalet. Okay, you see, so it's very, very consistent, and it'll always be this way. The next rule number 2, a syllable may end with either a consonant or a vowel. So a syllable can end with a consonant or a vowel. If it ends with a consonant, the syllable is said to be closed. If it ends with a vowel, it is said to be open. And I always use, you're probably tired of me using the example of the sandwich, but a closed syllable is just like a sandwich. 2 slices of bread, and then you've got jelly or, whatever you care to put between the 2 slices of bread, and that is a perfect picture of a closed syllable. So let's take a look at, here you have an open syllable. The first syllable, da, and the word davar is open because it begins with a consonant, and it's got a shva or a vowel beneath it or in the middle of the syllable, and then it doesn't end with a consonant. So it's open because it lacks a second consonant at the end of the syllable. Now this is an example, var. Var is an example of a closed syllable. Begins with the consonant vet, has a patak, ends with the consonant resh, closed. And the word is pronounced davar, davar, davar Adonai, word of the Lord. Okay, next. Number 3. A syllable will always have one and only one vowel, whether that vowel be short or long. Everybody get that? A syllable, it can only have one vowel. So if you're trying to squish 2 vowels into one syllable, something's wrong. So these rules are very important and they're very trustworthy. So let's see if this is the case. A syllable will always have one and only one vowel. Do you see one vowel? So this is the word achar. Do you see one vowel underneath the first syllable? The answer is yes. Do you see, is there one vowel only underneath the second syllable? Yes. So whether it's open or closed, there can only be one vowel. So in this case, had, hadavrim. So this is an example where you've got a degesh forte, which causes doubling. So really, if we were to spell this word how it really is, not how it looks, but how it really is, it would be hey, dalet, dalet, vet, resh, yod, mem sofit. Okay, so with Sparky's simplified approach, this happens to be a silent shva, so it's had, va, rim, and then we have a little rule that there's a degesh in the letter, strong degesh in the letter above the shva, you actually have to pronounce the shva. So hadavarim, hadavarim, all right? So let's go back to rule 3. Syllable will always have one and only one vowel. There's your one vowel, one vowel, one vowel, one, 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 one. I realize that's a non-vowel, but nonetheless, the word is not, the shva is vocal whenever it appears underneath the first letter, so it behaves just like a vowel, though technically it's called a non-vowel. So one, one, we'll skip the divine name, that's kind of a rule breaker in some regards. One vowel, that's a silent shva, so it's non-pronounced, so that's a closed syllable of one vowel, one vowel. You see, very consistent, very dependable, very reliable. All right. A syllable may be stressed or unstressed. So you're going to see that there are stress markers. That's a little stress marker. Every word has one stress marker. So achar, the stress marker looks like a little corner piece to the left of the patach. And so that shows you where the stress is. A syllable may be stressed or unstressed. So if you notice the first syllable, there's no stress marker. So that rule is pretty simple. It's just saying that it doesn't matter that there's no stress marker. You can have a syllable without it requiring a stress marker is all that rule is stating. All right, finally, rule number 5. A syllable can, in some instances, have 2 consonants back to back without a vowel in between them. So you can't have 2 vowels back to back, but you can have 2 consonants back to back in a particular syllable. And I'm just going to review. Let's just take a look at, do we have an example? We don't always have an example of two syllables back to back in a verse, and I am reviewing this here. Okay, it looks like we do not, so this one doesn't apply, and you don't see that a lot. A lot of times when you have two syllables back to back, it's there's an Aleph that is involved in that, so that's okay. Someone may have asked, like, why do we do this? Why do we take the time to do this? If you think about it this way, the basis of words, if you were to divide up individual words, you break those down further into individual syllables. So syllables obviously combine together to make up an individual word. Words combine together to make up an individual phrase in Hebrew, and then phrases combine to make individual paskim sentences. So if you never learn how to properly divide syllables, you're going to be at a real disadvantage in that you're not going to have the tools, the apparatus with which to correctly pronounce words. You will be stumbling over your words. You will be dazed and confused. And so if you take the time to print out the student handouts I'm giving you and practice the exercises at home, and I would encourage you, if you need to go through it more than once, go through it more than once. There's no harm. So let's jump into our syllabification, splitting, 5 laws of Hebrew syllables. Get my red pen out here. So we're looking at Breshit, chapter 15. That would be Tet Vav, and then verse, Pasuk, Aleph. So Achar, we'd already covered that one this morning. We got 2 syllables, so an open and a closed. And it can't really be divided any other way because we learned this morning syllables have to start with a consonant, with only one exception, that would be the shurek, and they have to have 1 vowel, not 2 vowels, not 3 vowels. And so by just adhering to the laws and the rules of Hebrew syllables, you will get a correct division of that syllable. Now, it does get a little bit dicey. I understand when you're dealing with things like shva and dagesh, and there's a lot of rules. So I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole today on that. I'm actually going to intentionally skip this one. I just don't want to soak too much time. It's got a shva, it's got a dagesh forte, which causes the dalet to double, and that can do some strange things. So let's go to the next word, ha'ela. You say ha'ela. So how many syllables? 1, 2, 3. Are they open or closed? We've got an open syllable. How do we define open? Begins with a consonant, has a vowel, and there's nothing else. It's an open syllable, ha. Next syllable begins with a consonant aleph, one of the 2 silent letters in the Hebrew language, and it has a tsere beneath it. It is open, pronounced A. By the way, I did hear someone comment this morning regarding the 2 silent letters, and technically it's correct to say that these letters, as they have come down to us today, we've lost the true sound of the Aleph, we've lost the true sound of the Ain, but did they once have sounds in ancient times? And I would affirm positively they did. And so we see vestiges of this, such as in the proper noun, we would say Gomorrah, the city of Gomorrah, the town of Gomorrah, Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, that is pronounced Amorah, and it begins with an Ain. So that Ain once had a G sound, and that comes out. It comes out in the Greek Septuagint, where it is pronounced with a G letter, the gamma, and then it comes out in the English translations. And so I thought it might help give you some background just to know that these purportedly silent letters used to have sounds. They were very subtle sounds. We've since lost them largely, and even if we had them, they'd be so hard for non-native speakers to duplicate. And by the way, everyone is a non-native as it relates to biblical Hebrew. Certainly there's native speakers of Ivrit in Israel today that speak great Hebrew, but we're talking about classical Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, which is slightly different. Ha'ela. So la begins with a consonant, has 1 vowel, ends with a consonant, that is pronounced le, and that is a closed syllable. Okay, how about this one? What would you say? Open, closed. Open because it begins with a consonant, has a vowel, and there's no second consonant to close it in with. Ha, ya, haya, Hebrew verb to be. Next word, davar Adonai. Davar Adonai. We'll just deal with the first part of this compound word, davar, and we will not deal with the tetragrammaton, the divine name, which really doesn't obey the laws of Hebrew grammar, because the Masoretic scribes intentionally changed the vocalization of this word to prevent it from being pronounced, to safeguard it from desecration. But the manner in which they did that, it does not follow the laws of Nikudot or of Hebrew grammar, and so it causes a lot of confusion with young students, or new students, I should say. And so we're not going to touch that today. We will just go over and around the divine name, and we could always say Hashem. All right, davar, davar, two-syllable word. Got an open syllable, got a vocal shva. So vocal shva, it's behaving as if it were a vowel, though technically, according to the law, the rules of Hebrew grammar, this is classified as a non-vowel. You have vowels, and this is the only non-vowel that you'll find in ancient Hebrew. Davar, open and closed. Why is it closed? Begins with a consonant, has a vowel, ends with a consonant. Bar. Actually, var, davar, davar Adonai. Okay, moving along. El, meaning two, the preposition, not El meaning God, El, but El meaning it's the preposition to Avram. That is a closed syllable. Begins with the consonant Aleph, has a vowel in the middle, ends with the consonant Lamed, pronounced El, El. Next one is a proper noun. He is the main character in our storyline, very godly man, faith-filled and righteous individual, and very courageous. His name is Avram. Abram, known in English. This is before he got his name changed to Avraham. So he has the name Avram. Imagine being given the name Avram, which literally, that's not just a name in Hebrew, it literally means exalted father. It's a phrase in Hebrew. Imagine being called exalted father your entire life, and into your married years, and for decades, you're not even a father. And so you have to bear the ridicule and the embarrassment in ancient society of having no kids and being named with a name like exalted father, and you're not even a father. So give you a little window into some of the sufferings of Avram Avinu, our father Abraham. All right, so Avram, two-syllable word. First syllable is Av, meaning father, begins with an Aleph, has a vowel patach, and then has a vet closing the syllable, and that is a silent shva. Why is the shva silent and not vocal? It is preceded by a, who can give me the answer? Short vowel. Patach is on the short vowel list. So also make vowel charts available for students as well in the language tool vaults. And we've got the last syllable, ram. Some would say ram. Ram. Vram. Closed syllable. All right, let's move along. Don't want the micro lesson to become a macro lesson. So we've got a larger word here. B'machazeh. 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 So open, 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 closed. So a four-syllable word. And so we've got a patach with a meteg. We've got a patach. We've got a chatef patach, which is known as a half vowel or reduced vowel. Actually, not a reduced vowel. Scratch that. Half vowel. But it's pronounced the same as patach. And we got a segol. The blue line's obscuring one of the dots in the segol, and segol says eh. We have a Hebrew diacritical marker here, tifcha. And so, b'machazeh, b'machazeh. Lemor. Lemor. Closed, closed, closed. All right, tira, tira. So Hirak Yod is actually on the chart of unchangeable vowels. Hirak Yod is a vowel, and so we would say that is an open syllable. Tira, ra would be closed. Consonant, vowel, consonant. Avram we've covered. Anochi, the long form of ani, the Hebrew word for I. Anochi, open, open, open. I realize Yod is one of those letters that can be part of a vowel, like Tsere Yod or Hirek Yod. So it's actually part of a vowel, but can also wear two hats, and many times it is actually a consonant. And so it's just good to know that. Now, that's not going to really change anything with your reading or how you're pronouncing things, but it's good to know that these things can actually perform double duty. Okay, so Magain. Magain, that's that Hebrew word for shield. Magain. So we have open, closed. All right, so I'm going to leave the rest to you. We've got Sacharacha, Sacharacha, Harbe, and Me'od. So that covers today's micro lesson. Drill number 3, syllabification splitting, 5 laws of the Hebrew syllable.